Jenna Bell as always. So it is Tuesday. We are continuing our Bates Motel series review with season 1, episode 2. So we are really kind of hitting the ground running. There is, I feel like we are now really sinking our teeth into a lot of our characters, our town, the Bateses themselves and everything, and secrets. We are going to be realizing there is a lot of secrets all around between the town and the Bates themselves. And let's start off with a nice little bombshell at the beginning of episode 2. We come to find out that Norma has another son. Yes, she has another son, Dylan, who is older than Norman, and who, for whatever reason, which we will find out later on, that Dylan ended up, I guess, like, running away, basically, like, years ago. Now he's back because he doesn't have a job, he has no money, he's gotta, find somewhere to go. So, of course, naturally, and he even says this in the show with Norma, this is what normal people do. If they're in trouble, if they're out of money or something, or they lost their job, they go home. That is normal. That's what a normal family does. So, yeah, so we find out that Dylan is Norman's brother, big brother and everything. And also, we come to find out that Norman and Dylan have different fathers. Yes, we have different fathers. We know that Norman's father has recently passed away. Dylan's father, we don't really know yet at all. We really don't really get many clues about Dylan's father, but later on there's going to be an even bigger bombshell about Dylan's father, and we'll also explain quite a bit about Norma, and even, like, the relationship between Norman and herself, and even kind of maybe explains a little bit Psycho 4 and how kind of that relationship was. So I don't want to, like, get into that yet, because that is down the road. I'm just saying. So yeah, so like I said, we've come to find out he has a brother. We start to learn that the town itself, on top of Norman and Norma having some secrets, both, personally, and with also the Summers guy that they ended up killing in the last episode, they've got some secrets, but we start to have a sense that the town itself has got some secrets, and even one of the sheriffs that Norma was talking to that invited her to this little, like, woodchuck festival that the town does every year. We come to find out that this town used to be like a logging company and everything, or a logging town, and then that kind of folded because, as the sheriff says, all these tree huggers came in and everything, so that kind of shut down the logging business. So, you can look around, and on the surface, these people are selling, like, artisan cheeses, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. But really, like, you think that these people can really afford, like, their multi-million-dollar mansions on selling this, like, specialty cheese? Kind of take a look around, and you'll see how this place is, making their monies. Yeah, they're making their monies. So I'm just saying. And plus, too, Bradley, the young girl that we were introduced in the first episode, maybe a little love interest between her and Norman, we're not sure. We come to find out even, we kind of figure out pretty quickly that there's some secrets in this town, because beginning of this episode, her father, she sees her father's car, like, literally, like, speeding down the road. It's kind of, like, out of control. Her friends are like, oh, that guy must be drunk. She's like, no, that's my father's car. So the car crashes, opens the door. There's inside, presumably her father, by her reaction, is in the car, barely alive, and burnt to a crisp. We're talking Freddy Krueger here, I'm just saying. So we're kind of like, what? Come to find out that there was a fire, apparently possibly a fire set at his factory. So we're seeing that there's so many different sort of things going on in this town. We're starting to kind of, like, question, like, what the hell? What's going on? What, like, is this town a little, like, messed up? Is this Twin Peaks? We're not even sure. So, but yeah, no, there's a lot of different things, and we start to, maybe uncover some things about Norman's father, because towards the end of the episode, Dylan and Norma are talking about how he ended up kind of like tracking Norman down, which basically, he had to kind of like do a little investigating, and he even ended up talking to, like, I think one of the insurance claimers of, like, oh, yeah, we were talking to some of the neighbors, and like, oh, yeah, his dad was, an outstanding father, a stand-up citizen, a great husband and everything. And he's kind of like, really? Because, I got some information for them that they might like to know about how, really just how great of a father he was and everything, like, really, like, so we obviously get the impression that Norman's father was probably a bit of an asshole, and we will kind of see that more come into play as the episodes go on and everything. So yeah, so it's just, we start to really kind of realize just how, like, everything's coming to play, how kind of strange things are getting, and we almost are starting to think, like, okay, is this going to be one of those things where it's like, are the Bates' problems really, any more tragic than and wrong than, say, maybe some of the secrets of this town? We're not sure yet. It's still pretty up in the air, but we're kind of starting to see both sides of the Bates and the town itself. And even Norma at one point, towards the beginning of the episode, because the sheriffs come back to kind of talk to her about the Summers guy, they're really kind of like pressing her and everything. They're like, hey, we thought you said that you've never ever seen him. She's trying to kind of like backtrack a little bit. She's like, well, I didn't necessarily say I've never seen him. I just said I haven't seen him recently. You're just kind of assuming. And they're kind of like, well, within the last week, most people would think that'd be recently. So she starts kind of like, almost like catching herself up in almost like lies. You're almost like, oh, dude, you're gonna blow it, you're gonna blow it, you're gonna blow it, you're gonna, blow that you killed this guy and everything. And she even kind of said too, was saying something about like, oh, well, if he disappeared, and the cop was like, well, we didn't really say he's disappeared or anything. You've kind of assumed that. And she's trying to retract it and kind of also like, play the same game of like, well, you're insinuating it. So, so yeah, so you're kind of like wondering if they're gonna get caught with the murder of the Summers guy. But yeah, there's just so many different things that are coming to fruition in this episode. I feel like this is definitely kind of setting up a great episode for it to kind of set up the rest of the series, because, you kind of start to think like, okay, there's going to be some stuff that's going on. It's building it up where we can get a couple of like seasons out of this and everything, not have it be like a 1 or 2 season show or anything. So yeah, it's a really good episode, really kind of kicks things off. Well, even the first episode, I should say, I feel like that was a really excellent first episode, because it felt like, it really started the show off like pretty strong, moving it pretty quickly and everything without it being rushed. Same thing with this episode. It feels like they added a little bit more like information for us. Really is kind of like hooking us to tune in for the next episode. So it is like, it definitely is like a strong start to the series itself. So, but yeah, so that is my take on episode 2 of season 1. Let me know what you guys think of episode 2. Next week, we will do episode 3 of season 1, obviously. So just to let you guys know, if you want to keep up with these episodes. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.